Now I'm just going to wipe this down a little with acetone. So we can put a nice seal on it. And you got to put this pin in here. Now here's the critical thing. That pin has to line up with this groove in here. And it's very hard to know whether or not it really did it. So I think, let me see, if I push it up maybe a little more. Well, it's right in the middle between the gears. Hopefully the pin is going to line up. I hope so. If it doesn't, you're in trouble. So I'm going to clean out this with acetone. And I cut a piece of spaghetti. This is stuff you can buy from OMC to do this. That's the seal. And you have to seal it in there with this glue. Now this is 3M Scotch Grip rubber and gasket adhesive 847 that a well-known marine mechanic told me about. Well, actually he loaned it to Kevin because Kevin works there for me to use. So we're going to gloop this up with that, and it's going to put it right in the groove here. Okay, we got that in the groove. That's in the groove. Now I'm going to try to get my rubber gasket on there. And you should have just a little bit, just a tiny bit of the rubber O-ring sticking out at the end. I'm going to try to put this on here. So I want just a tiny bit sticking out. There's a little bit sticking out on each end, and I'm going to make sure this seals. Well, this is really goopy stuff. Alright, let me just clean that up. To make sure this is going to seal, I want to put a little more. Okay, now I'm going to take this gear case cover. So there's a little bit of rubber gasket sticking out on both sides. Alright, I'm going to set it right on there. Put my screws in and screw it down. Okay, here's the water pump housing. This is the old metal one. This is in pretty good shape. These grooves aren't even barely detectable. I got a new impeller. The plate looks great. I'm just going to use these old parts and clean up the impeller, put it on. So we need some good old Vaseline. Just take a gloop of Vaseline. Yeah. Put it all over the impeller blades so it's nice and gooey. Nice Vaseline. Vaseline's good for your impeller blades. Okay, now you see when the motor is when the impeller, doesn't matter which way it goes on top and bottom. Now the motor turns clockwise, so that would be with this right side up, it's clockwise. All right, but when it's upside down, it's counterclockwise. So you got to make sure you bend the blades the right way. So they're all going to go to the right. So you got to bend the blades to the right. Bend the blades, get the little octopus in there. There we go. Alright. Yeah. So now, if it's upside down, clockwise turns that way. Alright. Now, so now some people say that the Sierra water pump impellers are thicker and they cause a lot of drag. I don't know. I mentioned this to the sales guy. He told me he didn't think it was true, so I don't know. I asked for OMC one, but it came in a bag with a part number, so I have no idea whether it's OMC or not. You know, that's not an OMC bag. Okay, so now, the way the water pump works is in the big cavity. This is where the water comes up, in this big cavity right here. As the impeller turns, you follow that cavity. The cavity gets smaller and smaller and smaller until it's real small over here. And then it goes into this well, squirts up the top to the motor. So it gets smaller and smaller, builds up a lot of pressure, and then when it gets an opening in here, it shoots it right up to the motor. So, and meanwhile, the other slots are picking up more water. So that's how it works. It's pretty simple. So now we gotta take the pin. I got the pin, I got the plate. Alright, so now, when the low air doesn't have a water pump in, you can turn it both ways. No problem. But when you get the impeller on there, you can only turn it one way. Alright, so there's a pin that goes right in this hole right there. Do you see the hole, Heath?
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so we're going to take this little pin. Alright, stick the pin right in the hole. Alright, before you put the pin in the hole, you got to put the plate on. I took the plate. The plate goes right in here. And the plate goes on a certain way. I don't even know how it goes. I think it goes like that because it lines up. There's 3 holes. There's a 4th one here. I don't know what the 4th one's for. Maybe they were going to do something different and didn't. I don't really know. So, pin goes in here like that. Okay. And now we're going to take this housing here and okay, now let's turn the shaft clockwise until the pin lines up. Okay, there. Alright, I can feel, when I turn the shaft, I can feel that's hitting the impeller. So, yeah, so now it's down. It was a little tricky getting it down now. Okay. Now there's a rubber gasket that goes in here. I have to get a new one. I don't think I have one. So. I can see the hole where the screw goes through on the other side there, so I just turned it until it lined up. Now they all line up. So this is it. Just tighten up the water pump. The water pump's in.